Today is a good day. Today is a very, very good day. Give God thanks. Man, my name is John Paul, and you guys are tuned in right now to the New Life podcast. And this is basically where I get to chat to various people around the UPC organization and find out about their testimonies, find out about how they got into this new life with God, and basically hear about what they're doing right now in their life. So I've got a very, very interesting man that I'm going to be speaking to shortly. His name is Rev.Jiménez, and he is based in Hong Kong right now. And he used to be our national youth leader for the UPC GB&I. That's when I first got to meet him and hear him preach and various things like that. He's been a part of a fast-growing Spanish congregation as well in London. And yeah, we're basically going to hear his story. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Luis Jiménez. How are you doing, sir?
Very much for inviting me to be here.
Yes.
I feel a little nervous. I'm like, oh, wow, this is a serious. Like, oh.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. This is the informal chat. And yeah, we're just going to get into it. So tell me about yourself. How did you first sort of find out about the faith of Christianity and the church?
I'll have to go back years, but here we go. So my parents, originally from South America, Ecuador.
Okay.
They were Christians back then, and in South America. And then at the age of 8, my 8, they emigrated to the UK.
Yeah.
I don't remember too much of church in Ecuador, other than my mom telling me to be quiet and listen in church.
Yeah.
I remember going to Sunday school once and someone pulling out a tooth. That's about it.
Yeah.
Of Ecuador. And then, yeah, came to the UK and we couldn't find a Oneness church in London.
Yeah.
And so my parents tried. I remember going to Jehovah's Witnesses churches, the Kingdom Halls, I think they call them. We went to a few others as well. We really enjoyed it. People treated us really nice, but it never turned out to be something quite consistent. So I think from conversations back then is because I remember my parents thinking and saying the doctrine. And I just remember that from a young age, my parents were always saying the doctrine is not the same. The doctrine is not the same. We can't go to a church where the doctrine is not the same.
Okay.
And then I wasn't introduced to church again until I was 14 years old, after spending 7 years in secondary school in the East End of London. I didn't really believe anything. I didn't think I believed in anything. In fact, when my parents started going to church, I was playing football on Saturdays and training and playing football the match on Sundays.
Yeah.
So when they started going and they said you should come with us, I was like, you kidding me? I'm not gonna go.
I want to be a footballer.
That's it. That was the dream. To be fair, one of my the guys I used to play with, I'm not sure if you've heard of him, Fabrice Mwamba.
No.
He used to play for Bolton. Well, he started with Arsenal.
Yeah.
Played for Bolton. He had a heart attack with Spurs.
Oh, I do remember that. I do.
Yeah.
Remember
So I used to play
on the pitch.
Correct. So I used to play with him. He used to go to my school as well, and I thought I was better than him. Obviously not.
Yeah.
But you always think.
What was your position, by the way?
I was striker or right wing.
Wow, those are important positions.
Oh yeah, South American quickness, the dribbling.
Yeah.
By the way, now it's completely useless. But anyway, so that was kind of my introduction. My parents decided to go back to church, and I saw a drastic transformation in them. Because in that time, when they landed in the UK to the time they went back to church, a lot of things went wrong, and a lot of things, family-wise, we were all over the place.
Yeah.
And to see my dad and mom kind of humble themselves and just go to church, worship.
Yeah.
It's impacted me, and it's impacted my whole life, really, because I saw a big change.
Yeah.
And it's taught me a lot of things. So that was kind of my introduction into Christianity, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that. So basically,
Okay.
This was in London.
Yeah, correct. So this was Bishop Francis church in Life Tabernacle.
Yeah.
That was that's where my parents started going.
That was my first church, because I was born in the States, and then I moved to London, and the Life Tabernacle was my mum and dad's home church. That's where they first met and all that kind of stuff before they went to America. And so that was my first church. But when I was going there, you guys weren't there. So it was just like...
You were probably when Brother Dallas was there?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so we were there, I think, a year after Bishop Francis got installed as senior pastor.
Okay.
So we weren't there when Brother Dallas is. So I think we probably just missed each other.
Because our ages aren't too dissimilar. So that was it. Okay, then. So you're in London now, and you're obviously starting school and all that kind of stuff. Was it college that you started, or was it high school, just the end of middle school or something, wasn't it?
Well, I think I was year 10 when I started going to church.
Yeah.
So I was year 10, and those years where I don't remember much, or I think my brain's decided to forget much of it. So I think I was just
still playing football.
Oh yeah, I love football. I still do. In fact, tomorrow here in Hong Kong, I've joined up to play with some Italians to play football.
Okay, so, that's gonna be interesting.
I know. I'm not sure what I signed up to, but there you go.
but you got to stay fit. You still look fit.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I need to. I mean, I'm having a 4-year-old who's growing up so quick and running so fast. I think I don't want him to look back at me and say, "My dad is fat."
Exactly.
So I need to keep this up somehow.
Healthy body, healthy mind. That's what I always
There you go.
So we got to do it. All right then. So when you're seeing Bishop Francis and you're seeing the pastoral team and all that kind of stuff, you're looking up to them, and you're seeing what they're doing for their community and so forth. Is that what sort of inspired you to get into that? How did you get into ministry? Or what was the point where you obviously got touched and feel to say, this is what I want to do?
Well, there are so many events, but I think the main thing as to why I'm like this now is Bishop has had at the time an extension for Spanish speakers, the Latino extension, as they call it. And my dad got put on a board with other people, and they became the leaders of that group. And I remember, and they used to have the services on Saturday at 3 p.m. And I remember going there, and I used to absolutely think, what in the world is this? There were people saying one thing, there were other people saying another thing. Some people believe that being baptized meant that you had the Holy Ghost. Other people didn't know that when you receive the Holy Ghost, there is an evidence to that. And so it was all over the place. That kind of built inside of me a desire to know more, and a desire to know the truth. More than just Bishop, because yes, I like Bishop, but I wasn't too close to it. It was sort of that upbringing in a place where I felt as though there should be a clear direction, clear guidance from one person.
A clear voice.
A clear voice as to what's happening. That's what drove me to probably go to Bible school. And I went to Bible school in Glasgow, did my year, and kind of understood a lot more. That was kind of the knowledge side of things. The kind of spirit in me was, one day I think I was 18. I already been baptized. I already been filled with the Holy Ghost at the age of 15, 14.
Yeah.
And at the age of 18, I was starting uni, and this preacher came. Now, I'm not sure if you heard of him. You probably did, since you went to Lifetime.
Yeah.
Zachary Adetola.
No, I can't remember.
No, so he was Ivory Coast.
Yeah, okay.
And he was he was, it was, I'll be honest, he was a bit scary at times, because he could pinpoint. He was like a prophet.
Yeah.
I never really, I never really messed with those things.
Yeah.
And I was a bit scared of him. But I remember one evening, he called me up, and he basically picked you up from the crowd, stuck his finger out, and said, "You come here. I have something to say to you."
Yeah.
And he said to me, "You will go to," and he listed all these places and countries, and he said, "You preach. Now, you got to know me from school. I hate speaking in public.
Okay.
I'm not much of a public speaker.
Yeah.
In fact, anytime they gave me a microphone, my hands used to shake.
Yeah.
And even till now, I get that sort
Anxiety,
of sense in me.
Yeah.
But I remember him laying his hand upon me after he said those things, and out of no force of his own, even though he was a strong man, I fell to the floor, and I just couldn't stop howling, like interceding in prayer.
Yeah.
And he hit me. And since then, a lot of people have said something. In fact, a sister said that when she saw him lay hands upon my head, that there was a literal fire that she could see. From that point, Brother Okala in East End of London got me to preach, and I began to preach, and there was an anointing that kind of was on me from that day, which kind of changed things completely, and changed the direction in which I thought I was going to head. Hence, now I'm a preacher. Wow. But back then, I really didn't know. In fact, if you saw me when I was 16, you would think, this guy, what's he doing? Just sit outside, just sit down, don't give him the mic. So that was kind of ministry.
So it was that time at 18, you had that, it's like a paradigm shift, a change of thought, a change of direction. And you suddenly said, this is what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
Because even after Bible school, you didn't have that need at all.
No, I so that's the reason. So I finished uni, and after university, I went to Bible school. That kind of led. I already had that desire to know more and to know the truth. But that kind of pushed me. I didn't want to be a preacher of just preaching sakes. I wanted to know what I was saying. But on the other hand, I had my dad, who's still my pastor, by the way, even though I'm over here in Hong Kong. He taught me service. I remember the first time I enjoyed church was actually when we just got there, and they had to change the old carpet and put new carpet on in Lifetime. And my dad took me. He said, "Come on, you're coming with me. Let's go." And that was the first time I actually enjoyed, and we had a father-son bonding, ripping carpet out, and we loved it, and we had like a relationship, and a relationship built up with the church as well.
So at 18, then you then started witnessing or doing a work. How did that turn into the Spanish work that grew to be so big as I know it now?
No. So at 18, I was still at uni. 21, I was finishing uni, going to Bible school. 22, I come back. And my dad's decided to start a church in Elephant and Castle. Now, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, so this Elephant and Castle is the area in Elephant and Castle now. If you go now, is nicely built up. The regeneration projects happening. But back then, in 2011, it was something else. When we went, it was right next to Burgess Park, where they saw the hole, and they told people, "Don't go there because you're gonna get mugged. and it's a deprived area. On Friday nights, we used to have youth, and people used to say to us, like, don't. People used to get scared.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was a lot of Spanish speakers, Latino community, so we decided to set up there. And we were with 13 adults and I think 3-4 kids, and that's how the church began.
Okay.
Yeah,
and your dad was the head pastor and you were head of the youth, or?
Well, at the time I was nothing really. I just graduated Bible school, so I came down and just helped.
Yeah. Did you
pretty
preach as
soon,
well?
Yeah. So I was preaching as well. That was fun. Looking back at it now, because this year actually the church is celebrating 10 years.
Okay.
The church is celebrating 10 years, but 16 people, you can imagine, all of us there, and we were trying to do something. But God always kind of guided us, because for some reason or another, we never really did anything small.
Yeah.
So we always thought big and tried to do the best with what we had. And that mentality sort of seeped through. And I became the youth leader at the time, with my little sister who was 11, this little guy called Kevin, who was 9, this other little guy called Gabriel, who was also 8 or 9 at the time. Those were my young people. If I had to lead.
How did you stay motivated? Because there are probably some youth leaders listening now who don't have many young people, or the young people aren't engaging with them as much as they should. What kind of advice would you give to them to sort of say, keep going? Or because young people are hard to sometimes reach, I have to be honest. They're so distracted with life and they're going through so much, and sometimes the youth leader saying, hey guys, we're going to be having youth service or youth club here, and nobody comes, or they're bored, they're looking at their phones. How do you
trust me. Okay, well, this can be a story in itself. And for me, it was when we started alone, so we were not with Lifetime. We didn't have the support of anyone else really. So it was basically me believing that I had a promise. And me believing that somehow this church would grow and the youth would grow. And it was tough. I'm not gonna lie.
I can imagine.
It was tough. Sometimes I used to think to myself, I have 3 kids. One is my little sister, the other 2 are 9 years old. How in the world is this gonna even develop? I was very lonely. I think probably some days or some weeks I probably was close to depression. So when I look back, it kind of makes me a little bit tearful. But there's small victories that come about every once in a while. For example, now, so now the church, my dad, I just spoke to him like 2 hours ago. The church is now 160 people.
Wow.
Exactly.
13. Exactly.
160 people. And 50 to 60% of that is under 25-year-olds to 13-year-olds. So not even not even Sunday school age. It is that category of young people. And I think and look back as to how I stayed motivated. I just kept doing it. I just kept putting out the chairs every Friday, set them 3 down and poured into them. And I just did it consistently. Kept on going. I didn't ask of them anything that I wouldn't do myself. I did everything. And pretty much, I think what also helped me is the fact that they were so young. So they just kind of followed me. To them, I was the big guy. I was the big brother. My little sister was following me everywhere. She did what I asked. Kevin lived right next to church. And so he used to show up like at Sunday mornings, like 8 o'clock in the morning, to help me set up sound. And so these kids all grew up in that mentality. And pretty soon they win other kids. So I wasn't really one of those that went out to get more.
Yeah,
I
because that
was
was the
pretty
next question I
much
was going to ask. I was going to say, how were you recruiting them? But if you didn't have to do that, it was just pouring into them to make each one teach one. That's the kind of thing.
that's sort of the mentality, and kind of create a youth group where my main principles were, I'm not here to change or to inspire you kind of emotionally or to entertain you.
Yeah.
I'm here to make sure you're spiritually okay.
Yeah.
So I used to teach, preach, and I'm not saying I did the classical things. We did all sorts of things.
Yeah.
As the church began to grow and as the youth group began to grow, one of the best things we did was we created a team.
Yeah.
Because I'm not very good with ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm terrible with ideas. In fact, I'm probably the least creative person you'll ever find.
Okay.
But one thing I believe in is that other people do have ideas.
Yeah.
So I recruited 6 young people with all different mentality, but just kind of the same vision to have a big youth group.
Yeah.
If we had, so once we had that main vision, we could then share out the workload.
Yeah.
And everyone takes care of different things. We tried all different craziness. We've done the movie nights. We did the different hairstyles. We did the twins come twinning. Who's your twin?
Yeah.
We researched as to the best method to teach them.
Yeah.
To teach young people. We tried different ways to teach them. We tried the classic preaching. We tried the teaching. We tried the sit in a circle and talk to each other. Probably in the 5 years I was youth leader, we did absolutely everything and anything that I could find to help me. So I read up a lot. I clued up myself a lot, and I got married to the right lady.
Yeah, we haven't touched on that just yet.
Not yet. Who pushed me quite heavily and helped me a lot in ministry as well.
Okay, it's brilliant. Now that is priceless. Thank you for that. And yeah, it is about being consistent, and it's about also knowing what you lack in, and then getting somebody to help delegate, and you're overseeing it now. So it just helps them stay on track. So it's no, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, so youth leading and then preaching as well. And then did you guys meet up with Life Tab every month or to come together for international services or anything like that? Because I remember that's happened sometimes.
That still even happens now, but we were not an extension of Life Tab.
Okay, yeah.
So we were just our own church.
Okay, and what was it called again? Londres.
It was, well, at the time it was called. Now you're gonna laugh. Iglesia Pentecostal Unida Internacional de Gran Bretaña e Irlanda, which basically translates to United Pentecostal Church of Great Britain and Ireland, something else.
Yeah.
And so the name change happened a few years ago when I told my dad, "Listen,
it's too long.
Name,
What's your website looking like?" Is that what?
So we went to the classic, the Pentecostals of London.
Yes.
Just simple. Keep it simple. The Pentecostals of London, Los Pentecostales de Londres. Yeah. So that's what we did. So that's we didn't, as I said, we didn't really have that network.
Okay.
And I think probably a lot of youth leaders in the UK have some sort of issue with this.
Yeah.
Most youth leaders are growing up doing it themselves.
Yeah.
And this is why when I became national youth leader, having that experience behind me, my focus was to get youth leaders together.
Yes.
I did want, don't get me wrong, I did want the kids to be fine, and we provided good events, did the pizza thing, whatever. Yeah. But my main thing is to kind of help youth leaders and inspire youth leaders together. Because that way you can feel connected and you don't have to feel so alone.
Okay, let me go pause there, because in my church right now, it is very similar to that, in where people do sometimes feel alone. And I still think that, even though you were talking about it just being with the youth not talking and all that kind of stuff, I feel it's probably a bit more than that. I think it's even the churches not coming together and not talking enough, and not, because what I worry about, I look at, there's a few single people in the church right now, and
Yeah.
it's sort of like, how are they going to be able to find a partner if they're just hoping that somebody comes into the church and meets with them? It's sort of like, I think there should be more than just conference being the only time that everybody comes together. And I look at, like, we're in Wolverhampton, Bilston, or whatever, that's our church, and then there's Birmingham, and then there's local ones. And I thought that, because in some other organizations, they come together monthly to one big church and they have a thing. And I know we have probably men's conference and maybe, but I just feel that there definitely needs to be more of a cohesion and a more of a blend of different things happening regularly, so people can always not feel, because some churches are very small, like yours was when it was at the start. And it's like knowing that there's another youth group that comes together at a certain time. And now we've got Zoom, I think it's a lot easier for that to happen. But if there was a thing where there was like a regular, I don't know, football team or a regular event or something, just to add to it. So that's why I'm like, it needs to be better than that and bigger than that. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hope you recorded that section of what you just said, and I hope you put it out there. And I promise you that most youth leaders of the UPC GB&I feel the same way.
Yeah.
What's good right now is that most of these youth leaders are still in the church.
Yeah.
But my worry is, what's going to happen in 10, 20 years time?
Yeah.
Because, and it's twofold, okay? The organization and the National Youth Department should really be open to these ideas, and the youth leader or your district leader should be open to be able to visit you and to spend some time with your youth. But secondly, that this is the other fold, is you as a youth leader should be open as well to make sure that your youth contribute to the national events. I remember when I only had the 3, I used to take them 3. And I used to feel really bad sometimes because it was just me and these kids. But now I look back and I probably did the best thing I did. Now they have, when PDL youth show up, you probably take up half the church anyway. And it's nice, you know. That's how they have grown up. But when I went, and I hope, like, if this does go out to youth leaders, don't be intimidated by the numbers that you have. Take the 1, take the 2. In a few years, you don't know what those 2 can do. But as an organization, though, I do think you hit the nail on the head. To have something whereby people contribute and the organization itself takes care of the local works. I mean, that's how we're gonna work. That's how we're gonna grow.
It's true. Okay, so how did you get to the national youth leader role? How old were you when that happened? Or how
27.
you skipped a lot of drama? Actually, the wife, you were going to talk about how you guys met and that kind of thing, because you obviously can't do all of what you're doing without a support network and without somebody pushing you on and all that. Because were you married before you became youth leader?
No, I got married at the age of 26.
Okay.
I met my wife when I was 18 again. Bishop was invited to preach in Milan, Italy.
Okay.
And he said, he called me one day. I was on the bus and he said, would you like to come with me? And I said, oh yeah, obviously you're Bishop. Oh, you invited me to go somewhere. Come along. And that trip, I spent mostly just bringing his Bible from the hotel room to him. I was his Bible bearer. Bearer. But you know what?
That's a good job.
I loved it. And they used to make me sit at the front with everyone else. And I was like, oh gosh. But my wife, I met her because she was singing in the choir in one of those services. And I was like, whoa, this lady is nice. I was like, oh, obviously. But 7 years later, I finally had the guts to tell her that I liked her.
Okay. So you'd been seeing her at different functions throughout that.
I mean, Europe by the time, I mean, there was Ryanair and everything, but I wasn't really open to traveling much. She did Erasmus. She's quite academic in that sense. So she was doing all this sort of things. I was just kind of a bum trying to get on with life. And then obviously things opened up and I was able to travel to Milan, see her. And
So were you talking via Facebook, or was it Facebook a thing?
Facebook, and even before then, before
MSN.
anything happened, MSN Messenger.
Yeah.
I think that, you know what? When I met her, when I was leaving, I said to her, "Oh, can I get your contact details?"
Yeah.
And I think I asked her for her MSN.
Yeah.
I don't think I asked her for her number or email. I think I just asked her for her MSN.
There you go. Yeah. So it was a long distance relationship, because that's amazing in itself as well, making those.
Yeah, but it was quick as well. So once we decided that we liked each other, and I said, "Listen, I don't really want to fool around. I've got a lot of things going on." And she said, "To be honest with you, me neither. We like each other."
Yeah.
In 2 years' time, after 2 years of having that conversation, that initial conversation, we got married.
Yeah.
And
in which country?
In Italy.
You went to Italy to get married? Wow.
We went to Italy. I mean, you have the chance of an Italian wedding.
Yeah,
of course, you take it, right?
So did you take your whole family?
Family came. A few close friends were there as well. It was nice. We had a nice time. Wow. But my wife is, if you don't know her, she looks sweet and pretty, and you know, but she's clued up, man.
Yeah.
There are so many things that she can do.
Yeah. Was she involved in her youth in Italy?
This is the thing. She wasn't really. In Italy, it works a little different than the UK. The UK is very much for a team, work ethic.
Yeah.
We're pretty developed, I think. But in Italy, it's still very much a pastor kind of does a lot.
Yeah.
That's not to say that she wasn't influential. She was teaching Sunday school. But when she came to PDL, she was able to use, what most young people nowadays are so clued up on a lot of different things and professionals in lots of different areas.
Yeah.
And yet they don't use those giftings in church because they think it's church.
Yeah.
But she was able to expand on that. And she herself got a Sunday school from 1 or 2 classes to 4 classes with around 38 kids in in those classes.
Yeah.
So she's had her own success with Sunday school, and
this was in speaking Italian.
Well, she speaks Italian, German, French, and Spanish, and English.
What?
Yeah, I know,
wow.
I know. Well, she's a languages teacher, so she has to do something.
Okay, I didn't know that. But that is 5 languages.
Yeah.
I have always had such respect for people who can speak all them languages, because it's like the way that your brain has to just figure out which language you're talking and just let it come out. It's like, oh my, wow, that is amazing. Amazing. And does she sometimes forget which language she's speaking to you in sometimes? Yeah,
especially when she gets angry. Oof.
Yeah.
She turns Italian, man. She gets Italian as like,
oh, gosh.
Mamma mia, Luis, mamma mia.
So how many languages can you speak?
I can speak 2, but I don't speak them very well, either one of them. So I'm like 0.5, make 1,
And what about let's go into the child then. So talk about when the baby was born and baby came.
So 2016, he was born. Trauma for 1 year.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Are you a dad?
I've got 3.
How are you surviving, man?
You don't even know the half. I mean, I'll tell you really quickly, because I don't really talk about myself on these things, but I've got twins that we foster. So, and they are 2 years old. And then I've got 3 of my own. I've just had my little boy who's 6 months now. So I've got a 13-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old son, and a 6-month-old boy, and then 2 little girls who are terrible 2s definitely right now. So there's 5 kids in my house. Yeah.
You see, I respect that. Okay, I can't think of a harder job than a dad or a mom with more than 1 kid. I really cannot think for the life of me as to why you would do that to yourself. But first year, as you know, trauma. I think I went to work to relax. That was kind of the first year. I don't remember much of it.
Yeah.
Second year, he started walking around causing mayhem.
Yeah.
Third year, better. He started to speak.
Yeah. But
Now he's four.
which language? That's what I was going to say before. What language did he
English. That's the thing. He's speaking English, but he can understand Spanish and Italian.
Yeah.
So, and now he's learning Chinese here.
This
So,
is it. And Chinese is one of the
he,
hardest languages to learn, or is it right? One of the two, I can't remember.
Trust me, it's one of the probably the hardest languages to learn and to write.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah, now he's four. I'm loving it now.
Yeah.
He's got a little personality. He's quite cheeky.
Yeah.
He annoys his mum sometimes, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
So I like it now. At 4 years old, I think I've reached the age where I can.
I think I was the same, you know. I think I was the same with the other two. I was definitely more hands off because I used to think they're so small and delicate. I might break them, so I would leave them to the mum. But when they came to about 3, 4, that's when I was like, all right, this is my time now. We can all play and we can get a bit rough and ready and teach them and read and play. Yeah, because I'm still a kid.
Exactly, but I have got him injured a couple of times. Which then my wife goes, "Mamma mia!"
So that's good. That's good. So so baby's here now, and then you then took over national youth director. So after you guys got married, you obviously still in the UK. Yeah.
So we set up in the UK.
Yeah.
Having revival there, and then no one wanted the national youth position.
Yeah.
And so my name got called out. I was looking at around the room.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law was like, do it. My brother-in-law is Lemmy Badenhorst.
Yeah.
You know who he is? Yeah. He was like, do it, man, do it. And then a good friend of mine, Matt Jiménez. You know who that is?
I know Matt.
Matt, he was like, do it. And I was like, no one else wanted it. So I said, okay, yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, and we'll get to work. Teamed up. I teamed up with Matt. I asked him to kind of help me and as a secretary.
Be your deputy.
Now, but this is the thing. So the official title is secretary.
Yeah.
And people have always looked at it as someone that just takes the minutes.
Yeah.
My thinking was, I don't need someone to take the minutes. I can write my own minutes.
Yeah.
Or I could get someone else to help me with the minutes. I don't need a minute taker.
Yeah.
I need someone that can help me lead and has a completely different mindset to me.
Yeah.
And I know Matt, and I worked with him in general conference for a while. And I said, Matt, please join me, help me do this. This would be what you do.
Yeah.
And it's fun, and it worked out because we were so different. And he's a strong personality, if you know Matt. He's a strong personality, so it's not easy to get things going sometimes. And you feel if you're close to probably if you're insecure about yourself, then you think, no, but I'm the leader here, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But then we also had strong personalities in the team itself. Like Jim Mumble up in North.
I know Jim. Yeah.
We had he's quite wild. And then we have Kaylin, which actually probably is the calmer of it.
Kaylin is the calm one. Yeah.
There you
he's
go.
He's teaching me at Bible school. Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah.
And then we had OC, and then Richard in London and South. And everyone has different mentality. Everyone's from a different district. They have different needs. They have
a strong
different
team.
wants.
Yeah.
I loved it though.
Yeah.
Because they're all so different and they're all so strong.
Yeah.
It felt like, so I was fine. I thought just work together and get things done.
So how long were you there for again in that position?
2 years.
2 years.
So I was there for 2 years.
Who is the new national youth leader?
See, the fact that you're asking me worries me.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh gosh.
But the new national youth leader is Pastor James Beak in Glasgow.
Yes. I should have remembered that. I do remember now.
Yeah. So he is leading the youth now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right then. So we are running out of time. I told you this was meant to be.
Oh yeah, true. Sorry.
We have now jumped. It's my fault as well. It is about nearly caught. What's it called? 45. But anyway, I want to know how you got to Hong Kong and how you made the jump. How can you jump from the London and the Spanish and to just start getting into Chinese and doing it during a pandemic? So
Well, this is it.
what was your
So
mind state? Go on.
I'll be quick. I'll be
Yeah.
quick. The job opportunity came up. I
Yeah.
said to I just finished with the youth because I thought it was time.
Yeah.
I didn't think we should continue.
Yeah.
I said, let's try something else.
Yeah.
We just prayed about it and said, okay, it's time.
Yeah.
My wife, she was a recruiters, you know, they always get in touch. And one of them was a position opened up in Hong Kong, and would you apply for it? She applied for it. Within 2 weeks, an interview. Within 3 weeks, a job offer in 2019.
Yeah.
And the job offer was to start in August 2020.
Yeah.
We didn't think it would be that quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we accepted anything, we went and talked to a few of our mentors and people that we trust about this. My dad, obviously, first, he was like, why? We're doing so well. Career-wise, I'm a financial planner. And so I was fine. My wife's a teacher. We were sort of fine. We have our own place in Surrey. And so we were okay. And my dad was like, are you frustrated here in church? Is something going wrong? Tell me, we can try and fix it. I said, no, actually, no, we're fine.
Mm-hmm.
We just feel like this is what we're meant to do. And my dad and mom felt at peace with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the sign that this is something we should try. We then talked to another couple who we trust their opinion from. And they kind of felt the same thing. And they said, well, to be honest with you, the UK may miss you, but it doesn't feel like it's the wrong thing to do. And so we said, okay, well, let's go ahead with it. If it's not meant to happen, it's not meant to happen. 2019, the riots are happening in Hong Kong.
I remember.
So we were not able to visit. 2020, COVID hit. And we said, oh my goodness, what are we doing? But we carried on. There was nothing really to say no. And we landed in September, and here we are, Hong Kong.
So what is it? What was was it a culture shock? Just suddenly
at the beginning.
I can imagine.
At the beginning, it's a culture shock. Church-wise has been a culture shock as well. And so we're still learning. I mean, our main thing was to take us out of our comfort zone. We prayed to God, don't let us fall into a routine. Let us keep something that we can make fresh and, teach us something new. I didn't think he'll really take that too seriously though, because he's brought me to Hong Kong and he's definitely taken me out of my comfort zone.
So you've gone into a church that's already been established, or you have to establish your own?
No, it's in Hong Kong, there are 4 different churches. UPC churches. There's one international church, which is mainly English speaking and catering for Filipino helpers or domestic workers that are here. Then there are 3 Chinese churches. We've actually, this is the funny thing, we've come here as licensed ministers. And we've in fact we've had quite a few recommendations from the UK and Europe to the overseer here in Hong Kong. And so we haven't been able to join the church per se, because the aim is to get me to go around the churches to preach. And that's been a challenge in itself, since churches have been closed,
of course,
for the majority of time and just opened last month. And so we're now in a local Chinese church, which we're helping. Well, we want to help. But because I've come here with all these credentials, they don't know whether I should be a member or not. Because according to them, I should go around. So sometimes having a license actually hasn't been of help. Because had I come here with no license, no recommendation, no one knowing me, I could have probably joined up the church quite quick. join the Zoom events or whatever they were doing, and it would have been easy.
Yeah.
But because I've come here with like a minister's license, so they all think that all I should do is preach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I can do other things too.
Yeah. or just have a day off. I want to chill for a minute.
So it's it's a little different, but we're praying, we're adjusting. We're getting to know the culture is very different. We've been going to Chinese restaurants, local restaurants, and being given Chinese food and trying to eat with chopsticks and all this and stuff.
Yeah.
It's different, but it's definitely learning.
One of the countries that I've always wanted to go to is China, just because of the history of the country. I love the Chinese kung fu movies and all that. I've always wanted, and I want to see the Great Wall. Have you already seen the Great Wall of China and done the tour?
No, because we can't go to China because we're in Hong Kong.
Yes,
so
okay, yeah.
We can't travel. But I'll tell you this about the Chinese churches. There is one pastor there. He's a Colombian pastor.
Yeah.
He originally went to set up a company.
Yeah.
He set up the company in China, but then God kind of stalled him there.
Yeah.
And now he's pastoring.
Yeah.
He came for business, and now all of a sudden he's pastoring, and he pastors an English Chinese church.
Yeah.
He's quite fluent in Chinese as well, able to hold a conversation. Honestly, this is the thing, the Chinese are chasing them.
Yeah.
Not able to host obviously a church. They've deported some of his members.
Yeah.
So sometimes, the liberty that we have in the Western world, is sometimes we take it for granted.
That's the next thing I wanted to say, because I heard stories about how some people had to meet in secret and things like that. Yeah.
So they're always changing venue. They're changing venue to try and make sure, but they always find them. And if you're Chinese, unfortunately, they go by your state pension. They reduce it. So if you're caught doing this sort of things, they reduce the number, or they can even send you to prison. It hit me. It hit me quite hard, because there I am. And Hong Kong is still very much open to Christianity, so it's fine. But I remember being in London, and you can rock up to a park and start singing songs, and you're fine. Other places don't have the same liberty. And it's unfortunate that we take it for granted sometimes in the West.
It's true. Wow. I could talk to you all day about China and just finding out what it's like, just walking through and all those lights and Hong Kong and the colors and just the culture. And that just must be every day just an experience in itself.
It sounds like you would love it.
I know. And I will go. And hopefully I might be able to come and see you down there. So
please.
Definitely on my bucket list. Awesome. All right then, Brother Lewis, I have to end it here because we are nearly on an hour. And it's just one of those things. When we get talking, we could go for a while. And I know you still got little boy to put to bed. I don't know if he's still awake.
The mom's taking him to sleep.
Mom's sorting it. Good.
He wanted to come and join in the interview. His mom dragged him back. So that's why you didn't see him. But
yes, I'll send you the video. If you send me your email, I'll send you the video so we can have a look at what Daddy was talking about. But thank you so much for taking some time to speak with me on the New Life podcast. And when it goes live and everything, you'll be able to see all the different conversations I've had with other people. But it's definitely been a blessing for myself. Is there anything else you might want to add before we close?
No, thank you for inviting me. But I think the point that I've taken from this is that what you said about the organization itself being more connected. That's been my prayer from day one. And I hope your generation, our generation, I would say, I'm no longer there, but you're there, is able to achieve something along those lines. If you stick at it, I'm sure we will.
100%. And what I'm finding as well, just having these conversations, just more and more people are going to see the stories, the testimonies, and the issues, and hopefully find some solutions from it. So, and we definitely have to just have more of these platforms made available so your story can be heard and hear more about what you're doing. Because even for missions, even when, because we all have Mission Sunday and all that kind of stuff, but just hearing from somebody in another country on a Zoom call as part of the service, I think that would be brilliant, just to hear a testimony, to hear what's going on and hear about what support can be done. I think that would be a good addition to the services rather than just having a normal service, but calling it Mission Sunday. And I'm still like, we need to do more. We need to do more. But anyway,
this is it.
But anyway, you take care and have a very good
much.
rest of your evening, because you're 7 hours in front of us. So you'll probably be getting ready for bed. I've got another session here at the studio. But definitely we will catch up soon, and hopefully
awesome.
I can get down to Hong Kong. All right then. So you take care.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
God bless you. Okay.
God bless you too, sir.